Tonight on MTN, the Remington fire explodes into southern Montana.
It is definitely concerning, you know, especially when you drive in here and you see all the black spots along the highway.
Multiple evacuation warnings issued as flames scorch tens of thousands of acres. Why? It's sadly familiar news for some in the area. Plus, a massive Canadian rail strike threatening to derail crucial crops in Montana. The latest on the situation. And new life.
There's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of sign-offs. It's a very intentional and meticulous process.
More than 2 years after being completely destroyed by floods, this iconic Red Lodge hotel about to become something everyone can enjoy again. The MTN 10 o'clock news starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this Friday night. I'm Casey Conlon. This is what northern Wyoming and southern Montana are dealing with right now. Hundreds of thousands of acres scorched by numerous wildland fires. The biggest affecting the Treasure State right now, the Remington fire. It was estimated at 18,000 acres this morning. DNRC officials now say it's over 128,000. We've been collecting images throughout the day, many of these coming last night in northern Sheridan County in Wyoming as the fire really started to explode because of high winds. The blaze now burning in Bighorn, Rosebud, and Powder River counties in Montana. The Tongue River Fire District saying it moved at least 14 miles overnight to the northwest towards the town of Boerne. That town under an evacuation warning tonight, as is anyone east of the Tongue River Reservoir to the Bighorn County line. That area continues to get hammered from all directions this summer. Our Matt Carmack back there for the latest today.
Behind me at the Tongue River Reservoir is smoke and ash from the Remington and Barbara wildfires. But the Remington wildfire is what we're more concerned about, as it's already burned over 100,000 acres of land, and that's increasing. Also warranting evacuations from residents all around the area. Two fires inching closer and closer to one another as time progresses.
I can tell you that we have close to 120 resources up there on the line for the Barbara Draw fire, from smoke jumpers to contract engines, hand crews. That's
DNRC Operations Manager Keith Gerber. But the Barbara Draw fire on the northwest end of the Tongue River Reservoir isn't the biggest worry anymore. It's the fastly approaching Remington fire on the east side that crossed into Montana around 6 p.m. Thursday night.
It is definitely concerning, you know, especially when you drive in here and you see all the black spots along the highway. And
Ryan Bogers is the owner of the Tongue River Reservoir Marina and has witnessed the fury of these two fires. He's hoped that the lake would open to recreation again Friday, with progress being made on the Barbara Draw. But the Remington closed it once again. He's had to close his shop 3 times so far this summer because of the wildfires.
The worst part for us is the rentals. 'Cause, I mean, a large portion of our sales comes from boat rentals, and when, you know, a day like today when the boat ramp is closed and the lake is closed, I mean, we're talking significant amount of money that we have to refund back.
DNRC and nearby sheriff's offices have issued voluntary evacuations of nearby towns south of Ashland, including Boerne.
As large as this fire is, this one's not going to go out tomorrow. We're going to have to get boots on the ground and folks around the entire perimeter of the fire and make sure it's not going to move anywhere.
So far, the Remington fire has crossed into 3 separate counties, including Bighorn, Powder River, and Rosebud. Because of its severity and size, nearby fire departments have set up camp at the Tongue River Reservoir, knowing it'll take a couple of days to fight.
Judging by the forecast for the fires, it's going to get worse before it gets better, I think.
Reporting from Tongue River Reservoir, Matt Carmack, MTN News.
We told you the Remington started in Sheridan County. It actually has burned about 30,000 acres in Wyoming. It led commissioners to declare a state of emergency in an impromptu meeting earlier tonight. It allows counties to have access to other critical resources. Sheridan also touched on the southern end by the House Draw fire, burning mostly in Johnson County, which is why commissioners there also declared a state of emergency in a meeting this morning. The House Draw still at 0% containment, stretching over 170,000 acres. It grew about 300 to 400 acres on the northern edge, as well as 1,000 on the southern edge overnight into today. County roads have reopened, but they're only open to local traffic if you live or work on those roads. DES says about 190 fire personnel currently fighting the blaze. Let's go to Ed McIntosh on the Weather Center now for our latest fire conditions.
Thanks for your pictures at weather at ktvq.com. Thomas caught this one, and it kind of puts it in perspective here as you can see the vehicle just down the road and how huge the smoke cloud is coming out of the Remington fire. But that wasn't our only concern tonight. Cassandra, thanks for sharing this one around the Laurel area as that wind blew through it down this tree. We had some very strong gusts all across the region. As we take a look right now with the Stockman Bank weather cam, temperatures today for Billings 10 degrees above the seasonal average as we got into the afternoon, even though we started off pretty close to average. But as those winds picked up in the evening hours, top wind gust was at 47 miles an hour. These hot, dry conditions increasing our fire risk. Forecasts coming up.
A big shakeup in the 2024 presidential race. Independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announces he is suspending his campaign and endorsing former President Donald Trump, a stark reversal from Kennedy's words just last month. Scripps News' James Packard reports.
Well, in an interview with Scripps News in late July, RFK Jr. said he was not having conversations about an endorsement with Donald Trump, calling those reports fake news. Now, he has ended his presidential campaign and has endorsed former President Donald Trump. But he did not call on all of his supporters to vote for the former president.
In my heart, I no longer believe that I have a realistic path to electoral victory.
In a speech laden with conspiracy theory and criticism of the DNC, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. ended his independent presidential bid Friday, yet still calling on his supporters to vote for him in non-battleground states.
In about 10 battleground states where my presence would be a spoiler, I'm going to remove my name.
His dropout was a long-anticipated move that could change the math in a close matchup between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. His subsequent endorsement of former President Trump, a full flip from his past statements, like this May 2023 tweet when he said the pair's philosophies of leadership could not be further apart. And the New Yorker reported earlier this month, Kennedy sent a text in which he called Trump a terrible human being, the worst president ever, and barely human. He is probably a sociopath. 5 of Kennedy's family members shared a statement Friday saying his endorsement of Trump is a betrayal of the values that our father and our family hold most dear. Kennedy's few percentage points of support nationally could tip the scale in some key states where polls are neck and neck.
I want to thank Bobby. That was very nice. That was really very nice. That's big. He's a great guy, respected by everybody.
You know, if I was a Trump advisor, I would say it's better to have RFK drop out and just go silent rather than get his endorsement, because RFK does bring a significant amount of baggage.
Now, poll watchers will await the fallout of Kennedy's decision, eager to see which of the major party candidates attracts former Kennedy supporters.
If the RFK effect is going to move just a few hundred votes in key counties, that really could decide the outcome of the election.
James Packard, Scripps News, Los Angeles.
A panel convening at Rocky Vista Medical School in Billings today to try to solve a statewide problem. How can Montana recruit and keep more doctors? The state has struggled through a physician shortage for years. Rocky Vista says the problem is a lack of hospital residency programs. Montana ranks 48th in the country with less than 150 residency and graduate medical positions available, which means even though they can come to the state for school, they'll need to leave for work.
The vast majority of our students are going to have no choice but to go to another state to do their residency training, which means the likelihood of them staying in that state is way higher than them returning back to Montana.
Park called on local state legislators for help Friday. Billings Rep Sue Vinton agreed they could do more, like working with the insurance commissioner, hospitals, and the Montana Medical Association. 2 years ago, flooding was the natural disaster strangling southern Montana. This is one of the lasting images. Water all around the Rocky Fork Inn in Red Lodge. It destroyed the property, but last year, the city had an idea to turn this tragedy into an enduring sign of resilience. Our Diane Parker reports that that idea is very close to reality.
What's left of the Rocky Fork Inn in Red Lodge, just behind me, right on the other side of this bridge, is a harsh reminder of what this town's gone through since historic floods hit the area in 2022. And now, 2 years later, this property, it's ready for new life. After a rocky few years piled ceiling high with flood debris instead of bed and breakfast guests, this is
is the sound of a solution, ready for an official announcement at Tuesday's City Council meeting.
With government involved, there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of sign-offs. It's a very intentional and meticulous process. It's nice to have the finish line in sight.
The city of Red Lodge is ready to purchase and close on the property by mid-September, have it demolished before the snow flies, and turned into a green space next year, safe from future flooding.
What an acquisition project includes is removing a property out of the hazard's way. We do mitigation projects that are connected to natural hazards.
It might look dilapidated, but the property has been appraised at more than $2 million. It could turn into a park, a parking space, a trail, even a skate park. Anything without a permanent structure is allowed in case of future flooding.
I think it's a win for the community of Red Lodge, the property owners. The community is showing signs of healing. It's a win for the state. We're able to offset some of these local matches with our resiliency funds. We get to showcase what our projects can do to other communities.
Long says the Bastion family is ready to sell, considering insurance would max out at a $250,000 payout. Instead, the Bastions will be made whole thanks to 75% federal FEMA funding and 25% state resiliency funding via Montana DES. A partnership meant to keep business flowing in this tourist town while giving the entire community creekside access. In Red Lodge, Diane Parker, MTN News.
Still to come on the MTN 10 o'clock news, a scary stop.
As you can honestly see behind me, there's a huge blind spot.
Roundup families speak out about a new bus stop on Highway 87 that they say is just creating new problems. And later in sports, college football kicks off tomorrow. We'll show you why the Cats are double-digit favorites against a Mountain West team.